Perform the indicated operation if possible. If not possible, state why. It simply just says AB, which for matrices would mean matrix A times matrix B. Matrix multiplication is a little picky because the dimensions are very important and they only work if they are compatible in a certain way. A and B, if you look at their dimensions, A is a 2 by 2 matrix, B is also a 2 by 2 matrix, which makes it a little bit more straightforward. But if we talk about the dimension analysis, those will work because we check the columns of the first one times the row of the second one. So I know this one will work. Let's go ahead and write it down side by side in this order. A has to go first, and then B has to go second. I would suggest, as you are doing this work, a good way to do it is to write the matrices in pen, and then we're going to use a pencil for doing our scratch work. 0, 1, 4, negative 2, negative 1, negative 1, 2, 5. If we work the dimension analysis, A is 2 by 2. We're multiplying by another 2 by 2. I check the middle ones to make sure they work. Yes, they definitely work. And then I use the outer dimensions, this 2 and this 2, to tell me the size of my new matrix. So my new matrix will also be a 2 by 2. So I'm going to set up a 2 by 2 like this, a little bit bigger, because I'm going to write down some scratch work. A 2 by 2 would have 4 elements in it, so I'm going to leave an empty spot for those 4 items, and then I can simplify or clean up my answer a little bit into a nice clean 2 by 2 at the end. When you do matrix multiplication, your job is to multiply a row from the first matrix times a column of the second matrix. When you multiply, you do them in pairs. So I'm going to look at just this first row from A and this first column from B. I'm going to pair these numbers up and multiply them together. I'm going to write a little bit of scratch work on the bottom, and I'll put the answers inside the matrix. So if I check the first pair I would have 0 times negative 1. Let me write that down here for just a second. I'm going to add that with the next pair, 1 times 2. Notice how I shuffle to the right and shuffle down in my highlights. So I have 1 times 2 for that second set. All of that result right here needs to go in this blank right there. So if you want to show some in-between steps, you could do the multiply part in your head, and then we can write our cleaned up version at the end. So I'm putting extra details in this just to keep track of stuff. 0 times negative 1 would be 0, plus 1 times 2 would be 2. All of that needs to combine together to get our final element over here. 0 plus 2, my first element, and my answer would be 2. Okay, here's why I said use pencil when you're doing scratch work, so you can erase your highlights or your loops, I guess, if you want to use loops. So I want to check first row, and let's see what the second column gives us. If I think about these pairs put together, I would have 0 times negative 1 plus 1 times 5. If I work those numbers a little bit in my head, 0 times negative 1 would give me negative 1. Sorry, excuse me, no, it would be 0. My bad. Plus 1 times 5 is going to be 5. 0 plus 5 means my answer element is 5. So I've done the top row of my answer. Now I'm going to do the bottom row, which means I need to move this highlight down to the bottom row. And I'm going to look at the first column. That means this answer is going to go in the bottom row, first column, in that spot right there. Numbers in your head. 4 times negative 1 would be negative 4 plus negative 2 times 2. That would be negative 4. If I combine those elements together, freezing up. There it goes. Whoops, sorry about that. Oh, no, I can't get rid of that little sketch mark. Okay. If I put those elements together, that would make negative 8. And then the last pair, scoot your loop or your highlight over to the bottom row and last column. If I multiply those out, 4 times negative 1 would be negative 4. And then I have plus negative 2 times 5, negative 10. Negative 4 plus negative 10 would be negative 14. My answer matrix would be 2, 5, negative 8, negative 14. So remember, it would be helpful maybe to the first attempt that you try at this, write out these pairs of numbers so you can see it, then multiply them out and go straight to your final elements for your answer matrix.